Hello, my name is Doralisa.
Hi, my name is Adana.
I'm Jennifer.
Hello, my name is Jamal, and today we'll be talking about fetus and infant memory.
Forgive me everyone, I'm a little under the wet right now, but before I begin, I would like to share a little interesting fact with you all that one of my partners discovered is that this picture was drawn by Leonardo da Vinci. He was the first person to capture how a baby would look inside the womb without any technology available. Infants retain memory, but while in the womb they already have memory. A fetus recognizes and remembers sound, human voices, and also languages to which they are exposed to, while infants can form memories, but they don't usually realize that they have them. The objective here is to prove that fetus has reaction to external sounds, can remember these sounds, develop short-term memory, and to show that even though infants might not have the memory up front, they biologically remember and recall people from their past. Now let's take a look at a little video on fetus memory.
Really fascinating new science to talk to you about. There's a new study out today that shows a fetus can develop memories in the womb as early as 30 weeks into a pregnancy. Has a lot of implications. How will this change what we know about prenatal development? And what can parents do with this knowledge, help them during pregnancy? ABC's Sharon Alfonsi has more for us.
Day by day, a fetus goes through remarkable changes. By 30 weeks, opening and closing their eyes, making facial expressions, and now, a new study reveals, forming memories. Yep, barely 3 pounds, but already able to remember. For the study, researchers used a fetal monitor to make a buzzing sound against a mother's belly. The noise and vibration startle the fetus, and it typically reacts by moving. But with repeated applications of the buzzing, the fetus learns it's okay and does not have to react. And 4 weeks later, when the fetus is buzzed again, many don't react at all because researchers say they now remember the sound.
We're talking about repeated exposure to things as being very important and starting to lay down those memory tracks.
But experts say the new study is proof that we need to be more careful about what experiences we expose babies to in the womb.
That little infant brain, even prenatally within this last trimester, is like a little recording device, and you get to decide what it's going to record.
And let this be about you and your baby.
At this prenatal yoga class, moms are already working to create a calm environment for themselves and their babies.
I think I'll probably be more conscious of my own emotional and physical state, but I've already been going down that path.
For many moms, the new study just underscores what they've suspected all along. The moves they make today resonate well beyond the classroom. For Good Morning America, Sharon Alfonsi, ABC News, New York.
Wow, I mean, you see them respond, you know that they may kind of sense things, but memories. We're joined now by psychologist Rahil Briggs of Montefiore Medical Center, where she focuses on early childhood development. I mean, this is going to be so shocking to so many people. And one key implication is that during pregnancy, we know avoid the alcohol, eat right, no smoking. But you're saying there are other things to be aware of because what may be getting picked up inside.
Absolutely. We're increasingly aware of the importance of that environment for the developing fetus and for the very young infant. We know a lot, for example, about stress. If mom is under serious amounts of stress, we really worry about that for that developing fetus and for that infant. We know a lot about general well-being in families. But it's not a time for people to micromanage, right? It's not, oh goodness, I shouldn't have watched that movie last night, there was some screaming in it. We're really talking about a general sense of stress, of well-being, and being conscious of that environment for the developing fetus and for the very young child.
So how do you know that what this fetus, this baby is doing is making a memory and not just reflexively reacting to stimuli, like when you put the classical music on the tummy of the mommy hoping that the kid's going to be smarter?
That's a great question, and I don't think that even the scientists of these studies would say that they know for sure that it's not just that the kid got sort of used to this sound. But basically, we study it by something called habituation, which means that you see a new word for the first time that you've never seen. You react, you respond, that's a new word. If you continue to see it, we think that that means that there's some learning going on.
Right.
You're learning that new word, and your reaction is less strong. The same for these babies in utero. When they're presented with this novel sound, at first they give a big response. Then we think there is some fetal learning happening as they learn, oh, I remember that, I'm familiar with that, I've got some short-term memory of that. I'm not going to give such a big response.
Wow. And you know, it seems like the more we learn about fetuses, the more confidence we have that they are capable of things earlier and earlier. You know, when life, sustainable life, begins is a big question in our society. This sheds light on it.
I'm not sure that it sheds light on when sustainable life begins. What this study says is that starting at around 30 weeks gestational age, so in that last trimester, we're pretty sure that kids are laying down short-term memories and might even have a little bit longer-term memories.
Fascinating, fascinating. Ms. Briggs,
We think so too.
Thanks for helping shed some light on this.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you.
Wow.
I'm going to stop there and continue on the researches and studies of psychologists. They traditionally place the beginning of memory at about age 3 because few people have conscious recall of events before that time. However, an accumulative volume of research demonstrates memory in the first year of life and in the prenatal period as well. Unexpected evidence for prenatal learning and memory comes from studies of taste and olfaction. Until recently, olfaction was thought to require ear, hence learning of odors, and was not considered possible before birth. However, current understanding recognizes the complex interaction of chemosensory receptors in the uterus. Many chemical compounds, including those from the mother's diet, pass through the placenta and reaches the baby in the uterus, while others flow in the capillaries of the nasal mucosa. By breathing and swallowing amniotic fluid, a baby becomes familiar with the mother's diet, including things like garlic. Even before postnatal exposure to breast milk, babies already know and prefer their own mother's milk. Abrupt changes in her diet during the prenatal period can confuse babies and upset breastfeeding. Even before birth, babies are learning their native language. This is made possible by the development of hearing as early as 16 weeks, the gestational age. A mother's voice reaches the uterus with very little distortion as the sound waves pass directly through her body. Acoustic spectroscopy, which makes possible elaborate detailed portraits of sound similar to fingerprints, has documented prenatal learning of the mother's tongue. By 27 weeks of gestation, the crying of a baby already contains some of the speech features, rhythms, and voice characteristics of its mother. Newborn reactions to language are based on the sounds heard in the uterus. For example, French babies prefer to look at a person speaking French, while Russian babies prefer to watch a person speaking Russian. Traumatic experience in early childhood raise important questions about memory development in general and about the durability and accessibility of memories for traumatic events in particular. Young infants has remarkable ability to encode, store, and retain information for long, relatively periods of time. Events in neonatal intensive care are imprinted in memory and intrude on adult life, often in the form of fear. Edward, who was born prematurely and entered the NICU at 29 weeks, learned to fear the sound and sights of adhesive tape. He learned this from the experience of having sections of his skin accidentally peeled off during removal of monder pads. As Edward grew into a young man, he still feared the sight and sounds of adhesive tape. Here is a little advice for you soon-to-be parents. The developing brain of a baby needs two basic things: safety and positive experience. By providing enriching experience, the baby's brain learns best when it is challenged with new information and then compares the new with existing information. Exposing your baby to new To test young children's ability to remember, psychologist Dr. Leston taught 3 groups of children sequences that were prompted by specific toys and sound. A call for cleanup time, for example, was followed by wiping a table with a paper towel and then throwing the towel into a basket. Make a rattle was followed by the motion of inserting a ring into a slot in a bottle and then shaking the bottle. Lesson taught 9, 17, and 24-month-old babies 3 to 5 different sequences so that each child could do the actions after prompting. He then waited 4 months and tested each child's ability to reenact each sequence following the same prompts. The differences between the youngest group and the 2 older ones were striking. Both groups of older children were quickly able to repeat their sequences, while the youngest group had a non-zero score. Nora Newcombe, a psychologist at Temple University in Philadelphia, recently tested the ability of 11-year-olds to recognize pictures of former classmates from their preschool years. She showed them a series of pictures of 3- and 4-year-old children, including some images of children they knew 7 years earlier. Most of the 11-year-olds claimed not to recognize any of their former classmates, but when Newcombe wired up their heads to measure sweating, also called a galvanic skin response, the children showed biological signs of remembering the faces of those with whom they attend preschool. As they looked at pictures of children they had never known, the instrument measured no sweating responses. At 6 to 12 months, a baby's memory skills are developing even further, leading to the recognition of familiar places and people, and the resulting emotional reactions to those things. For example, although he may not remember specifics, a baby between 6 and 12 months may start to exhibit fussiness when brought to the doctor's office, where he receives vaccinations, or start smiling when he sees grandma, who he is beginning to associate with cuddles. By a year in age, a baby starts to put together language and memory and may mention a word associated with a place, such as saying cookie when arriving at grandma's home if he has received cookies there on previous occasions. As I mentioned before, the development of a child's first memory doesn't generally occur until about age 3, because most memories in babies are only stored as short-term memories. The memories of a baby are left inaccessible, since the brain structure that holds them permanently in the mind are not formed until later. Parents interested in developing their baby's memory and trying to unlock communication with a child who may be remembering things but unable to let anyone know yet can try memory-boosting exercises and games. These can include things like playing peekaboo or hiding objects while a baby is watching, such as under a blanket, for the baby to remember and find. Baby sign language is another way for parents to help older babies develop their working memory, since the ability to communicate is tied to how well babies remember things. Here is a little advice for you soon-to-be parents. The developing brain of a baby needs 2 basic things: safety and positive experience. By providing enriching experience, the baby's brain learns best when it is challenged with new information, and then compares the new with existing information. Exposing your baby to new things helps the brain strengthen old connections and make new ones. Even simple activities like a trip to the library or grocery store can help build your baby's brain. Also, by creating a safe environment, you can reduce your baby's stress by making your world safe, responsive, and predictable. Remove any physical threats, respond when your baby cries, and create predictable daily routines so that your baby learns what to expect from their world. Much research in this area today aims to identify new characteristics and possible explanations. Despite the fact that most people would think that fetuses and infants do not have memories of their earlier life, many researchers have proven the opposite. I'm now going to leave you all with a few questions to think about. Would you take time to talk to your unborn child? Yes, no, or why? Would you limit or expose your child to different sounds and levels of sound? Yes, no, or why? What could we do to improve cognitive development? And what are other ways we can study cognitive